Hello guys, welcome to IT Security Labs, and thank you all for joining us tonight. It's going to be a fun one. As you can see here on my screen, I start with my article that inspires me a lot. It's by Daniel Misler. It's called How to Build a Cybersecurity Career. And one of the best advice that I've ever received for my cybersecurity career is written in this article. So I just want to start by saying this is where I get my inspiration from, and if you're very interested, read through this document. One of the best things that it talks about is building your own lab where you actually experiment with things and learn on your own time. Not only to show your passion, but also just to quench that curiosity that you might have. So highly suggest this article by Daniel Misler, where he builds about how to really build a successful career in cybersecurity. It's hands-on, step-by-step instructions, which is really, really awesome. So today, we're going to be using a lab that I built for myself, according to that article. And it's where we have a detection lab. We have security onion intrusion detection system, which is getting mirrored traffic from my lab environment. And that is going to be giving us something like this, where we actually get alerts if we detect malicious traffic. And then we can analyze that traffic in Kibana and other instances like what I have right here. So that's the lab that we have. Our machine is called NullByte from vulnhub. So I encourage you to go to vulnhub.com, download NullByte, and be able to import it in VirtualBox in this case. And then you can follow along with me. So if you are brand new to this channel, this is what we do. We do hands-on cybersecurity learning, not a lot of talking, but really practical, actionable things that we can do to actually improve your skills. So we downloaded this machine. It's called NullByte from vulnhub. It's 100% free. I put in here. Then I'm mirroring this traffic to my security onion. So all the traffic that is going to be attacking that machine is going to go to security onion. And this is a network diagram. I have 12 videos on this channel that show you how to set up this lab by yourself, including the firewall configuration. So if you are interested to do that, you can go ahead and do that. Let's figure out what is the IP address of that machine. All right, so I do have a Windows environment. So as you can see here, NullByte got a DHCP IP address of 192.168.38.28. It's very important to have a real lab environment. So 192.168.38.28 is what we'll be attacking today. So let's go ahead and sign into our Kali Linux machine and get going here. All right, so let's clear the screen here. I was just messing around with the machine. Thank you all for being here, Mike. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, thanks for that. All right, so our machine is on 192.168.38.28. So I like to ping, make sure that I'm getting there. And as you can see, we are getting some responses. So let's go ahead and start our Nmap scan. This is part of the enumeration process. We want to find out what is running on our target machine, and Nmap is a really good tool to use for that. It comes with a few options that you can use to be stealth. If you wanted to go under the radar, just have scans. Mass scan is another one that I like to use, but Nmap would do it in this case. And I'm going to use the options of -SC. These are my own sort of favorites, I like to start with SC, then minus SV 192.168.38.28, and then there we go. Now that we did that, you can do minus OA and name it something like Nmap or something like the name of the box or the IP address. If you want, you'll be able to save it to a file, but in this case, let's just run it like this. Thanks, Juniper, for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. So wow, that was quick. Our Nmap scan completed. We downloaded a machine called NullByte. I created a folder for it, as you can see here. I have a folder called machines. Then I like to stay organized that way. And we have some results here. Interesting, port 80. And we have a version of Apache here, 2.410. Then I'm not sure if this one actually works with any vulnerabilities, but we have RPC with its own, the whole family is here. And look what we have here. Port 777 is running SSH. So someone moved SSH from port 22 to 777. And this is awesome. It's not a big attack surface. And just make sure we are not missing anything. Let's start by running derb. All right, so I'm going to run derb here, which is going to be pretty much fuzzing the directories on the web server. I like to do this 192.168.38.28. This is just going to use the default word list for derb, but just keep in mind that this is just the bare minimum. On my enumeration tab here, I actually have, for GoBuster specifically, I use the medium.txt sometimes I use the big.txt. So you make sure that you use different word list, and in this case you can also use some sec list web content. So if you don't see things, it's always good to come back and run with a different word list, especially the big.txt, which takes a long time. But in this case, we're just going to use the default one. So that's my I'm running derb right now, and here are the different options. I got this one from TryHackMe. As part of my notes, completing things on TryHackMe, I found out that this is a really good one for check testing. So right away with our derb here, we see that we have PHP my admin. I like that. So let's go and check this thing out. 192.168.38.28. All right, if you search for laws of harmony, you'll find knowledge. The hell is that? Is that a quote from somewhere where I don't know? Okay, it's an Egyptian proverb. All right. That's interesting. All right, so let's see. Yes, I'll be posting a Discord channel link today before this ends. Last time I forgot about that one. So we don't know what this is. Let's view the page source here. Interesting. There's nothing on the page source, so we have to rely on derb for it this time. Let's go see what we have here. We have a PHP my admin. You can use curl to do this, or you can just go straight to the site. I'm going to let it finish. PHP my admin talks to databases in the back end, so it's like a graphical user interface for databases. Here you can try multiple things like admin, and all that stuff. See if they have default credentials. I don't think that will work. Can I log into my SQL server? Okay, so it gives us an error. It says my SQL server. That's a good one. That's an interesting thing. Now we know already that there's a MySQL server somewhere there. Let's go back to our site. We missed one thing that we didn't enumerate. Remember, the more enumeration, meaning the more you know about the target, the more likely we are to compromise this target. So we have this I here and this quote, which makes us think. So we can save this image, or we can view the image. Then let's download it. Do I have 2 of these running? Okay. Let's download it, and I'll open a new tab here. Then let me do this control. Let me make this a little bigger. All right. Let's use wget and download our image and put it in here. It's main.gif, that's its name. All right. Let's run strings against it. So people like to hide images, messages in the images using stenography, or there might be some comments in it. In this case, strings is giving me all this stuff. And what I'm looking for is something that I can read. Okay. Let me see with a different tool. Exif tool. Main.gif. This will just give me the metadata for the image that I have here. All right. And I have a comment. And what is this? Should I start? I will put it somewhere. Let me go to my quick notes here and remove this. I'll just start putting stuff here. And I'm asking myself, is this a password? What is this? All right, so we saw phpMyAdmin. If this is a password, we don't have a user. But that doesn't stop us from trying things on it. Maybe it's admin and whatever that was. No, it doesn't work. BT, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. We are exploiting a machine called NullByte from vulnhub. And at the same time, we are also detecting the attack traffic and sending it to security onion. So as soon as we are done with the attack, we should be able to go back here and see what we have done. We should be, because we're getting caught by an intrusion detection system. So this will be fun. Okay, so no luck there. One thing that I've seen with this capture the flags is if you get random stuff that is not a password, it is a directory. Yep, and now we got a key. This thing is asking for a key. Let's give it that thing as a key again. So if you get random strings or comments, I think you've seen 3 live streams here where they end up being directories. So I just do that. I would try that as a password. Invalid key. How is this thing knowing you view the page source? Sometimes there will be scripts here that are running. Sometimes you're able to read them using the browser. Oh yeah, this. Yeah, I grabbed this part only. There's a space here which made me grab this part only, but let's try the whole thing. You're right. No. Let's view the page source. People leave comments like this. This form isn't connected to MySQL. Okay, so it's not connected to this MySQL that we know about. But password ain't that complex. So that's a hint for us. If the password is not complex, that means we can brute force it. I have a few ways that I brute force now. From doing all these capture the flags, I've done so many of these that I now have my own fun ways of doing things. One of them is using burp suite, which is a little slower. Today, let's use Hydra. Let's brute force this thing using Hydra. If I test here, nope. if I view page source, we know that it's a post and it's looking for a key. That's all Hydra needs to know. What type of request is it, and what is the name of the thing that we are going for. And for a quick syntax on Hydra, let's go to enumeration. Here are my notes for different versions of Hydras and for brute forcing different things. As you can see, I've written some for brute forcing remote desktop, SMP, and for brute forcing this particular one here, we are going to use this. And I'll show you how we can formulate that. Let's clear this. So we are saying Hydra, the name, let's go and name it something like, what should we name this? Brute force or something like that. All right, LA is, I'm going to start from the end going in. LA is the options that we give for Hydra, and type for your username. In this case, we're using word list, roku.txt. You can create your own custom one. The error message that we need here, in this case, we need to find out what error message the page is giving. It's saying invalid key. That's our error message. You can find this quickly using Burp Suite if you wanted to, but I'm not going to fire it up right now. So the error message that we get is invalid key. There's rooms on Try Hack Me that you can actually go and practice using Hydra. It's going to be really useful. So let's go back and now saying what is the key? The key is key in this case. Yeah. I think lowercase will do. URL path, this is the second part after the IP address that we need. So this is going to really help you. In this case, we're taking anything from there to here. All right, and then after that, we just get, it's a post. So most of them ones that I've done at least are post.38.28. Let's see if this works. If we run this, it will save the results to a file called brute force. Okay, so I messed something up here. Let's see. Variable argument needs at least string user pass or pass keys goes to key. Okay, let's see. What did I miss that is not right here? Syntax in my Hydra is not correct. Keys goes to key. Let me try that one more time. I have it here. And then we'll analyze why it's not working. Not that. Let's try it again. So Hydra, the IP address, HTTP post. Then we'll put the quote here. Okay, key is goes to pass, not key. Let's go check out where I went wrong there. This is why using Burp Suite will give you this information very quickly. It's right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and run Hydra and brute force this. You're not limited to Hydra here. You can use Burp Suite if you wanted to. You can use other tools as well. This will just keep attacking for a long time. This might take 10 to 15 minutes or so. So for the sake of our time and because we want to have more fun with other things, let me show you the results here. I ran this earlier. Was because sometimes these things can take a long time and I don't want us to be there for a long time. Here are some of the machines that I've done, especially from Hack the Box. Let's go to NullByte and I'll show you the results for Hydra with the password that we brute forced. It took about 5 minutes. I had named it NullByte brute force. So if I say cat NullByte brute force, and you can see here are the results from Hydra. Here's the line that is of interest to us. The login was A that we put in there. You can put whatever. The password was elite. So that's our password for that web server that we just attacked here with Hydra. So let's go back here and put that. And we're getting trolled again. Now it's asking for username. So we brute forced one and it's asking for username. Can I see the page source? Is there the same thing? Well, the first one said it was not vulnerable to MySQL in a comment. This time they didn't say it is not vulnerable. So I'm going to deduce that this one is. Let's inject some basic SQL commands here. MySQL. I'm not going to use SQL map on this. I just learned recently that SQL map does not fly for the OSCP. So let's use this. Let's use these manual ones first. I can paste. I'm just trying manual injections because SQL map does not work or that is not wanted. Okay. So the first one that I just tried for my list successfully gave me a list of things here. I have a user, Ramses. He's an employee. And another one. So this thing is vulnerable to SQL injection. Let's see if I had picked a different one. What if I had just picked this one? Would I have gotten the same results? Okay. So it's just a matter of luck. I want to try a third one, a different one. This one. Because I don't believe in getting lucky on these things. You gotta know what's up. Okay, so they're all giving us different results, which is very interesting. So because of my interest, that is very, very interesting. Of course, you can do what I'm doing here with Burp Suite and just test these parameters. But I'm just very curious. So these things are just saying data was able to be fetched successfully with the last one giving me a username and password. I mean, just a username, this one. So they are not all giving me the same. Oh, yeah. So let's paste this one. The one that's, yeah, no. All right. So this thing is vulnerable to SQL injection. The easiest thing here is you can fire up SQL map, capture the request with Burp Suite, and off you go. I mean, that works. But in this case, this looks like a very interesting web form. So let's Google it, manual SQL injection. What do we get? Because we are not allowed to use SQL map. Oh, there is it. This is interesting. We're not allowed to use SQL map in the OSCP exam. So I'm going to figure out, okay, what do we do if we didn't know that? Let's go back here. The article that I used for this one was the very first one from Hacking Articles. This one explained things better for me, especially for that site. And I figured that they were using different commands, and they ended up somewhere down here. And before I show you, this took me a long time. Don't think that I'm just making it up right now. I actually had to spend some time. I spent some time following along with this here. And this is what I found out. Let me show you the one that I have. I ended up with a union select, just like one of these here. But instead of saying from information, something like this, I just said from users. So this is the one that I ended up saying, okay, this might work. And let me show you what it looks like. we'll paste it in a browser here so we can talk about it. Okay, it was a union select null user from users. Then if you give it this parameter, the percentage here, it will give you everything from the users, at least from what I found out here. And that's the one that I ended up using. This was a lot of trial and error, following along from here, just doing what they did here. And if we run this, you end up getting the user, the actual user, and their whatever this thing is. So the best way to explain this is that if you find a web form that is injectable, SQL Map is your way. If you're going for the OSCP, try different things in here. Try different select commands. One of them being, in this case, we know that we were just looking for a user, and we gave it the percentage sign at the end. And there's a really good practice one using the damn vulnerable web app that does this. This is an error-based SQL injection. So if you wanted that, you might want to give it a try. All right. So now that we did a quick demonstration of how I was able to avoid SQL Map, I might make a tutorial on how you can fully do this, or I might want to practice more because I'm still learning that as well. We got this number here. I was like, what is this? I don't know. It doesn't look like a base 64 to me. It doesn't look like anything I've seen. So I went online to hash identifier, not crack station, hash identifier, or just Google online hash identifier. You can use the one in Kali as well, but the ones online to do a really good job. Give them a hash, in this case, whatever that thing was. And it was like, no, nobody knows about this hash. And here is what I do every time I'm stuck with an unknown hash. I assume it's base 64. Someone tell me in the comments if that is a wrong way to do it. Every time I see a hash and I don't know what it is, I send it to base 64 and try to decode it that way. And in this case, all right, so let's do this. If we, to decode with base 64, we can echo, put the hash here. This is the easiest way to decode, by the way. Base 64 is the easiest. Then we make sure that it's properly in the quotes and pipe it to base 64. Minus D for decode. Some people say dash dash decode, but in my cheat sheet here, I have a, is it under password cracking? Yeah, base 64, yeah. So that's the syntax, just in case you forget. I always have my cheat sheet because I don't want to think about these things. Base 64 doesn't like it, but it says it's an invalid input. Awesome. Okay, so base 64 said it's not, but it gave us some interesting string here. So base 64 says, I don't know what that is, but here, let's go back to our hash analyzer and put the new string that base 64 gave us and remove the base 64 here. Let's analyze that, and it likes this one. This is an MD5 hash. Oh, that is an easy one. Now we can just go to crack station and crack it there. You can crack it again on your terminal, but sometimes using online tools also works. In this case, these are easy hashes. You should be able to crack them very easily. So let's put it in here. Of course, I'm not a robot. I'm doing this live. They want me to figure out which one is motorcycles. All right, next. Really? Next time I'm going to my terminal. All right, we cracked it. We get omega. That is the result that we got. So we got this omega, and this was just part of what we got for the user. Remember, we found a user Ramses, and we correct this thing, and the password is Omega. So now that we have a username and a password, it's very important for us to go back and say, oh, okay, where can we sign in? Well, we have phpMyAdmin, Ramses, and Omega. Or we have SSH. Let's try with phpMyAdmin first. Before we jump to SSH. Is that right? Ramses? Omega. Really? Okay. Yeah, that's their username. So it doesn't work for phpMyAdmin for some reason. All right, well, let's try SSH after this. All right, no problem. Let's try our service that we found, which is running on 777, and it's SSH. So we need to give that one a port. So SSH on port 777, Ramses, like this, 8192.168.38.28. Omega is the password. Did I mistype that name again? Okay, let's figure out. Make sure that we have the right stuff here. There's no Y. Okay, yeah. Make sure that we put the right usernames here. Ramses, not Ramses. Okay, maybe I was not doing it right on phpMyAdmin either. All right, so this worked. Now let's give phpMyAdmin a fair chance here. All right. No, still no. Okay, we're in anyway. So first thing that I do, of course, I'm in the home ls ls minus la. The person has bash history. Let's find out if this person was running some interesting commands. Yes, they were. Sudo minus s su Eric. So what this file does is it keeps history of the commands that somebody was running before they signed out of here. So they switched to Eric, which makes me think they know Eric's password. They exited, they cleared the screen, then they cd'd to this directory here, and they ran an application. That is interesting. Usually when I look for bash history, I don't get anything, and today I got something. So this is very exciting. But before I start doing exactly what this person did, let's do what we also do, sudo minus l. What can we run as sudo? Nothing. We cannot run anything. So my normal deal is I usually, if I don't see bash history and I don't see anything here, I usually come back to my notes and I'm like, oh, I'm stuck now. I go to my privilege escalation, and the first thing that I usually do is look for SUIDs, and I run this command. But in this case, I have bash history. I'm going to keep that one in mind, but let me follow my normal methodology before I follow this bash history here. Let's quickly look for SUIDs before we do the bash history. All right, so that's interesting. Okay, we have this procmail thing here again, and we have procwatch, okay, and it's right here as well. So something is up with this thing. It has an SUID set, which I would have coded here, and I also saw it in bash history. So let's do what this person did, starting from here. I'm just following in the footsteps here. So this is why maybe you want to clear your bash history. I'm just copying their history. Follow their footsteps. What were they doing? They switched to Eric. I don't know if I can switch there. And then they ran this thing here. Oh, okay. This looks like the result of running this command here. PS, so that means that somewhere in this application, they are running the PS command. Okay, let me tinker with it. ls, okay, there it is. Let's cat readme.txt. Did they give me a note? Okay, I have to fix this mess. I mean, this mess with an SUID set and it's doing something. Let's use strings. I'm hoping to verify that this is running PS, which we know it is running PS because it's giving us the same result. Oh, this is not nice looking. So you might have seen me running strings twice now. I ran strings against an image. Now I'm running it against this which looks like a binary. Okay. Two things that I already know. There is an SUID that is set on this application. And when you run it, it's giving us results for PS. What this shows me is that I can abuse the command that is running, in this case the PS command, by abusing the path variables. And we've done this on 3 machines or 2 so far on here. And one of them was actually something like this, where we have a binary or an application that is just running a command inside. We don't know where this thing is running this binary from, but let's quickly find out where the path is, what its path is. In this case, echo $path. This is where the system knows where to find the path in this case. In this case, this is the full path. What we can do is we can tell the system, hey, when you run this application, procwatch, because procwatch is calling the PS command, which usually lives in /bin. Yeah, the command lives in, or most of the commands on the system lives in the /bin or sbin in this case. So what we can do is we can just say, let's go to the temp file, create a malicious file there, tell the system, hey, instead of going to here for any binaries that you get, or use a local bin in this case, how about you just go to the temp file? And if somebody's looking for the PS command, tell them the PS command lives in the temp file. And when the PS command lives in the temp file, Howard here can write his own reverse shell code in there or something malicious there. So when people come looking for PS, they think they're looking for the normal PS command. No, they're going to execute mine. In this case, we are going to say, we know you are executing PS. We're going to give you a location for the PS command. So let's do that. Let's go to /tmp. We can write here. There is nothing so far. Two things that we can do. We can just tell the temp command to execute. Since this thing has SUIDs, it's going to give us root anyway. We can tell this to give us a root shell right here, or we can tell it to phone back home. In this case, I think phoning back home sounds interesting because I'm detecting this with my security onion. I would like to go and see that call back when it's caught. So we are going to use nano. Let's name this PS, because that's the command that we're abusing. If you're abusing something like top or other Linux command, make sure that you name them right. Nano PS. And let's put a reverse shell in there. Actually, before I do that, let me verify that if I have Python or not. If I don't have Python, I'll go with bash, which Python. And if it's Python 3 or 2, I do have Python 2 here. So let's go with the Python way. Let's put a Python reverse shell there. In this case, let's go to my reverse shells. I've used this so many times here. This is the one that works. I can use this one here. if you wanted to find out where I found this, you can go to Pentest Monkey. My firewall thinks this is dangerous. Okay, never mind. It's Pentest Monkey. My firewall thinks hacking sites are dangerous. Go to Pentest Monkey and grab that this one-liner here. In this case, I'm just going to use this one that comes pre-populated for me. And I'm listening on port 8877. So this is going to call back to my Kali Linux on port 8877. I reuse this over and over again. That's why I'm just copying it. You can find it on Pentest Monkey. And I believe this one is the IPv6 version. The IPv4 sometimes fails for me, so I just go for the IPv6. I have success 100% of the time with this thing. I don't have any complaints. So let's go and put it in here. All right, make sure that it's in there. I'm going to change the port because I don't like that one that I put in there. Let's put it to 8844. All right, let's save that. Cat PS. There is our one-liner. So all we need to do, new tab here. Now let's make this bigger. Naked minus LV and P on 8844. This will listen. So we started our listener here. Once we come back here, now let's tell our system, hey, when you are running the command PS, it actually lives in the temp folder. And to do that, I also have this in my cheat sheet, but I'll show you here in a second. We need to export the path. We've done this so many times now. So we need to say, hey, export the path. The path for us in this case is going to be equals to such temp. That's the path. And we're also going to just echo that path to the full path that we found. Remember, we did this and we found out that the path was that. We just tagged temp/temp here, right here. We're saying, hey, the new path is now temp. So every command that is going to run, that is going to be looking for PS, is going to come here, looking for PS right here for this specific path. So let's now go to cd/www. No, it's var/www. I think, yeah, it was backup. And let's run this again. Procwatch. So the idea is, if we run procwatch, which is running PS, it's going to execute the PS command that we put in the temp folder, and it will call home right away because we put malicious code in there. Then we'll get our reverse shell. And in this case, SUID is set up, so we'll get it as root. Let's do it. So it did run. We got some results. Let's check it. Still listening. Why didn't it run? Oh, I forgot something. Let's see why didn't it run, or did it run? No, it didn't. What did I miss here? So I executed this, I exported the path here, and I echoed it here. Ah, thank you. Somebody to the rescue. Rian, thank you. I forgot something. Let's go back to. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot to make my PS command executable. Plus executable PS. Now it should run. Thank you for that. I was like, why is this not running? Now procwatch. So let's make sure. All right, now let's do it. Okay, it's hanging. We're in. So we successfully got in here. Who am I? Don't mess with me. I'm root here. Okay. All right, I'm root, so cd/root. Let's get our flag. All right, we can email this person, write a walk and mail it to that. Okay, I'll mail them. And it looks like they use PGP because they're very smart. And we get a proof here. Thank you for the assistance there. So now that we exploited our machine, we did a lot of things here, right? We learned two things right away. A lot of enumeration, poking around, figuring out what we have. Enumerate. You get an image, run strings, run stag hide, figure out what's going on. Some Sql injection. In this case, we avoided Sql map. We did manually. I expect to see more of this from me. I'm not going to be using Sql map anymore. I did that for a long time, but for now, I'm going to try to really get good at manual exploitation using Sql manually. Okay, so now that we did this, let's look at our noise that we generated. Because we generated a ton of noise here. So first, let's look at the alerts. Security Onion is an intrusion detection system. So everything that we were doing was going through my network, my lab network, and I was taking a copy of it and sending it to Security Onion. And Security Onion was analyzing, figuring out, oh, this is terrible network traffic. In this case, it found malware. What in the world? I didn't do malware here. So this signature was probably wrong, but it caught something. We'll find out what was triggered as malware by Security Onion, even though we were doing something else. It thinks it's a command and control beacon, and it actually did a lot. This must be one of the brute forces. This is a lot of 1,387 events. One of the brute forces. Let's see. 4.3. We know this by now, that this is Deerbuster going. Because that's what happens when we run Deerbuster. It gets caught like that. And a lot of these are Deerbuster and Nmap. And here's an interesting one. I would like to see that as well. Let's go to Kibana. Okay, let's refresh this. This is Security Onion version 2.30. I haven't updated it. All right, so here's the same traffic that we were looking at. First, I'm very curious. What does Security Onion think we're doing by this? It thinks it's malware. So let's narrow it down by that. But based on the number of events, I think it's one of the brute forces that we did. Either Deerbuster, which I don't think so. That doesn't look like Deerbuster to me. So now we are filtering by that. Source IP, that's my Kali Linux 192.168.38.133. Destination IP 192.168.38.28. That's our victim machine that we just attacked here. We're going to port 80. So yeah, it's a brute force of some sort. And here is a bunch of them. Let's look at what the data looks like. And then we can see the request that really triggered this. Network.decoded really gives me, oh yeah, this is caught by name, it's Hydra. So as brute forcing, this thing somehow thought to trigger it as a command and control. I don't know why it triggered it like that. Maybe the signatures matches, but we know, no, this is just a brute forcing with Hydra. And we can expand the message here to verify that, yes, this is us putting stuff here with Hydra going against our Firefox. Let's check another one. They should all be identical. And let me see what changed from one request to another. The key. This is the key that we were brute forcing. Remember, we brute forced using Hydra. So if we look, this one, the key was ME. Let's look at another one and see if it changed. And this time it was April. So yeah, we're just changing this key here over and over again with Hydra. So when you brute force, this is what it looks like when you get caught. People can tell exactly what you were doing. In this case, you can deduce that I'm using a word list. Excuse me. Okay, so as you can see, we're using a word list. Now as the defenders, we can tell, oh, this person was not that smart. They were just using a word list to brute force a site. And the site was also not configured correctly, because if it was, it shouldn't allow brute forcing in the first place. So both ways, the attacker and the people who configured that site made some serious mistakes. So, and somebody was able to brute force it. Okay, this one says web server root access. What in the world was this? There's 112 here. So we just committed a crime. Now we're investigating ourselves. That's what we're doing here. You don't have to use Kibana. You can use the security onion hunt interface and still get to the same information. I just like Kibana better. All right, so again, source destination is good. To port 80. What traffic generated this root access thing? Oh, the phpMyAdmin. All right, here we go. What was happening here? Looks like we tried multiple times. I didn't brute force phpMyAdmin though. This looks like Dirbuster when we were going with Dirbuster. Going one step further, one directory further inside of phpMyAdmin. This looks like what happened here. That looks like it, because based on the count here, 112, that is us brute forcing phpMyAdmin, the directory. I think. Let's go back here and look at something else. Okay. Nmap was caught. We don't care about Nmap that much. We know we get caught with our scan. Oh, Zeus. Oh yeah, this is interesting. This is us with our Sql injection on the web server. So let's check out what happens when you're doing your manual poking with Sql injection. What does it look like? We didn't use a tool, so that's why there's very few. We did that a few times only. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at this. This is the one that gave us the users right here. So as a security analyst, now you're able to tell, oh, these people were able to find out what the users are by running this. So this will be good. All right. Just give me one moment here. All right, so as you can see, we have a lot of data to go through. We own the machine. Now we know what can happen with our traffic when we do what we do. This is really hardcore learning, right? Now you're seriously learning. Not only are you just attacking things and just having a lot of fun with the attack, you also want to know, like, hey, what does it look like when these people are doing these things? What does it look like when you're running those ridiculous tools out there? Because believe it or not, most of the world out there need people to be able to defend than to attack. Attacking is fun, but a lot of careers out there in cybersecurity are doing what we are doing here, figuring out what happened, or at least figuring out how to protect systems. And best way to protect systems is knowing what is happening on the wire. How do we read this traffic when it's given to us? And how do we quickly identify terrible things when they're happening? In this case, we are doing that by building muscle memory. We come here every single time and figure out what does it look like with Sql injection. Next time you see it, it's going to be second nature. Let's check one more here. This one is just a single one, but I'm curious what that one was. So again, our source is our victim machine to us. Oh, this is destination port 4242. This is a reverse shell that I got during my practice run. At the end, when you got a reverse shell, it was on port 88444. But this is what happens when somebody gets a reverse shell and it's being sent in plain text like us. In this case, we can tell someone went in here and ran some commands. It even tells us, in this case, I think this is, yeah, even the typos are in there. This is what we did on the victim machine on port 4242 using our reverse shell. So if you've never seen what it looks like when somebody gets a reverse shell on a system, here you go. That's what it looks like when I got a reverse shell on the system. Let's see. Let me show you what it looks like in the security onion if you don't like Kibana, which I don't think you should not like Kibana. Kibana is awesome. In the hunt interface here, we see that we have traffic. This is what we identified as our Hydra brute forcing traffic. And it identified it as malware, which is fine. At least it identified it in this case. Right now, I'm just grouping by name. Let's see. Let's list more here. 500. It's the same traffic that we were looking at in Kibana, just sorted differently. And in this case, it's all that command. Let's see if I can view one of these. As you can see, it's the same style of viewing things. I'm just showing you a different way of viewing the same type of stuff. In this case, when we're brute forcing with Hydra, we tried a way to freedom. If you want to see this as in pickup format or send it to someone, you show pickup for this event right here. Security Onion will generate a pickup for you, which I think is an awesome thing. It's way advanced that way. So this will take a little bit. It will generate a pickup file. Then you can take the pickup file and send it to somebody for analysis, or you can analyze the pickup file if you wanted to. Then you can see things at the packet level, which is also really great. So I will not wait for this pickup, but it will take a little bit here. It's actually generating it right now using TCP dump in the background. And that's for the hunt interface here. Of course, there is more functionality that you can use, like the Hive, to create incidents from what we just found out here. I don't use that. I just like to be able to analyze my traffic very quickly, so I don't run the Hive. The Hive is for security analysts. You can create history and stuff like that. And then, of course, our alerts here. If you have the Hive running, you have two boxes here, one for escalating these events to the Hive. I don't have that installed. And I encourage you, if you're installing it for the purposes of what we are doing here, don't install the Hive. The Hive is a pain. If people have issues with the installation of Security Onion, it's mostly because of the Hive. If you don't have business being in the Hive, don't install it. But if you want to learn what it's like to be a security analyst, have an incident assigned to you, escalate it and document things, then you can have the Hive. All right. So that's what we have for today. And thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to see here if I have any people have any questions. The other question was what kind of terminal was I using? Let me show you. In my Kali, I just went here and preferences. I changed this to the color scheme Tango. But otherwise, it's the default Kali installation, and it's in undercover mode, which makes it look like Windows, but it's Kali 2019.1. Awesome. All right, so if you really like this stuff, give me a thumbs up, like this for the YouTube algorithm, and always be here every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We do this, and the idea is we keep doing this for a year straight. We will get better. That's the idea, right? We practice, we build memory, muscle memory, and we get better. No BS. When I go for an interview for a job, there is no BS. There is no questioning what I know and what I don't know if I do this for a whole year straight. And I hope you're doing the same thing. If you practice in your own environment and you are disciplined enough, your skills are just going to improve. That's how this is going to go. Yeah. All right, let's get the Discord channel, and I'll also be looking here. The easiest one is to, yeah, thank you, Matthew. Let me see if I missed something else. BT said something about the Hive. Yeah. I personally think this stuff is fun. That's why I do them. I think it's the best way to learn. It's very secure and it's really fun. I've done a lot of try hack me. I'm 90% on the offensive path. I'm only left with buffer overflows. I'm keeping those for the OSCP. So I'll most likely complete those a week or two before the exam. So I actually have my muscle memory in place. Otherwise, yeah. I'll wait here and take a few questions if people have any questions. Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? If there's some pickups who can play with that are safe, I like to just pull them in Security Onion and figure out if we can attack them. I mean, analyze them. In fact, on that note, I'm actually in the process of installing, or I installed SolarWinds here, and I also installed this one that is called VM. It's not named correctly. This one is running, what is that popular one? I have SolarWinds SIM and the one that you use, BT. What is that called? Very similar to Elk. Now I'm forgetting this name. It's running on this VM here, which I'll be using in a little bit here. But yeah. Let's check it out. Is anyone running this lab in their lab environment or something similar? I know Chris Long published a detection lab that also works for people. Awesome. I don't see any serious questions here, so Helk, yes, Helk is awesome. Let me pull it up here. But I think with the new Security Onion now in place, Helk and what is the other one? All those variations of the stuff, it's pretty much captures everything. And here's what Helk looks like. It's all components that we're familiar with. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you know that I'm a very big proponent of going in the back and actually messing with Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, and the bits, and even using the Elastic Agent now. So this looks familiar, like they're just collecting Windows events from here. We're using WinLogBit in this case. You don't need to use WinLogBit anymore. Elasticsearch people, a few months ago, they came up with an agent that just of all the bits, so you don't need to go and figure out all the different bits. You can just put the agent and it has all the bits that you need for whatever platform you're running it on, which is awesome. Yes, I'm running Splunk Enterprise in this lab. I'm trying to get a license. So I reached out to Splunk. I was like, yo, I have a channel. Can I get a license so I can practice? And I'm hoping they'll be like, yo, sure, here's a license. Practice all you want. Because this is not production. I'm not making money out of this. So I'm hoping to get a license so we can actually look at our events in Splunk. Because I think a lot of people benefit from looking in Splunk as well. Because they're likely to see Splunk in an enterprise environment. But it doesn't mean that you will not see Kibana in an enterprise environment. You will see Kibana in most places. And if you know how to use Kibana, you most likely know how to use Splunk. I ran the Splunk with the trial version. They limit the data so much. It's not even fun after that. Yeah. I have to carve my data and just analyze one machine for a few hours and be able to use it. In this case, our goal is now to transition from just sniffing network data to actually having host-based data. So go and install an agent that actually exports host-based data to Splunk, because in most cases when you're doing in analysis, you're not just looking at network data like what we're doing. You also have endpoint data as well. That's why I like Splunk. Awesome. All right, so thank you very much for being here. We were able to have a successful one. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like. I signed up for the license penetration tester exam. I'll be taking it early February, so I have a month, and that's fun practice as well. They have some binary analysis stuff that I have no clue about, so I'm going to spend most of my time learning binary exploitation, and hopefully after this experience I'll be able to reverse engineer a bunch of code, which is really new to me. So I appreciate everybody who is here and who joined us. Thank you very much for being here, and I appreciate your support for the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.